Hello, and welcome to the Morning Coffee Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Carlock, and with me today is David Miller, father of Libby. This is sort of unplanned. I have a bunch of planned interviews with different experts and other people in the grief world coming up, but I realized it had been a while since we did any sort of update with just us and what's going on in our lives and how we're feeling and how we're doing. So I figured we could do that today. So David was nice enough to show up. You want to tell everybody what we're doing today while I get things rolling here?
I don't know. I got some hot chocolate. She's got her normal whatever coffee mixture.
My protein coffee, yes.
Talk about some Like Libby stuff and
not like what are we actually doing today?
What are we? I know. I'm sitting here right now.
Good Lord.
Tense this disaster.
Yes, we are going to clean up the memorial site where Libby died and decorate it for fall. So we figured we'd hop on here before we go do that. And yeah, so
ruin our makeup. Crying.
You don't wear makeup.
That's good.
And I don't cry usually on these things. You're the crier. So hopefully no makeup will be ruined. But yeah. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, if you're watching on the replay, hello. If you are here live, hello. Thanks for joining us. Again, you can always leave questions in the comments for us and we can try to answer those as we go along if you have anything you're wondering about. But otherwise, we're just going to ramble. We don't have much of a plan for this one. I don't have any like scripted questions. We're just kind of doing a life update ramble on how we're doing. And I think it's safe to say we're both kind of struggling right now, if we're being honest. So yeah, do you want to go first and update?
Sure.
Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, no, like Brooke said, it's been, people say the second year is worse and everything else. And I think third year, we're into our third year at this point. And yeah, it's not going as well as I certainly had hoped. Little stuff. I had another bracelet on this side, but Live Like Libby bracelet. And the one I had on this side was an original bracelet that we got the day of her funeral. And about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it broke at work. And yeah.
Already crap, man. That did not take long.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, he was a mess when that happened. Yeah. I don't know how long you waited to call me, but you called me pretty quick on that one.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's just a thing because you can't get that one back. Like you got it at the funeral. He has not. I have Live Like Libby bracelets that I wear, but he literally has not taken his off. And that one had been on there since the day of the funeral. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. What is the feeling? It's just.
I don't even know. I don't even know why it's ripping my heart out so bad. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, so that's how I'm doing.
So David's not doing too well.
Yeah, bracelets.
But no, I mean, I think that's normal. It was kind of like a symbol of her. And it is, I mean, you can't get it back. It's that original thing. You don't have another one. And now it's gone, kind of just like she's gone. So I get it. I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really cannot, I can't pinpoint it any more than that it's just that, I've had it since the day of the funeral, and I'm a pretty sentimental guy when it comes to certain stuff. And that one certainly, had this one broken, it probably wouldn't have bothered me nearly as much because this is one of the ones we bought and, had made, well after the fact. But that one breaking was, yeah, just messed me up, and messed me up again when I went to visit with my family, and my sister wears one, and I saw hers, and I was like, lost it again. I mean, it's just, I don't know. So, and people are like, "Oh, you can have mine," and I'm like, "No, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same."
Yeah,
So,
I get it.
but yeah, so I think that kind of shows you where I'm at. I mean, it's simple things now that I just miss the little stuff. I miss having her there for certain things that should be happening. You know, we went up Labor Day to visit with the family, and it's the first time like all of us have really been back together for a while, besides probably Libby's funeral and my uncle's funeral. But even there, like the kids weren't all there at my uncle's funeral, so having all the kids there and Libby not being there was one of those, you start playing like, what would she be doing? How much fun would she be having? What energy she would bring to that whole thing. And just, I think the other big thing that's kicking my ass right now is the thoughts of what she would look like. School starting, and seeing, this year's school pictures for a lot of her friends that are being posted, and how much older they are and how they've kind of changed, matured, and, she should be doing that as well. And she's stuck at this 10-year-old spot. So that's been messing with me too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we know that back to school is kicking my ass this year. Yeah. Yeah, I've talked about that before, but yeah. So if you don't know, Libby should have been or would have been in 8th grade at the school where I teach this year. So this year, all of her friends and classmates are in my school and in my class, in my grade. And I see them all the time. And I've got friends of hers and classmates of hers in my class that I teach every day. And it sucks. There's no other way to put it. Like, I knew it was going to be rough, and it is as rough as I was anticipating, if not more so. It is just the constant, and same thing. It's like you see them growing up, you see what they're doing, and then it's just a constant wonder of, oh, I wonder what songs she would be listening to. I wonder what movies would be her favorite. Like, I ask my students all these questions, and then right away it's just like, oh, but I don't get to know that for her. Like, I wonder what she would have been like at this age. And it's also weird seeing seeing her friends and seeing the different kinds of 8th graders. It's just like, oh, I wonder who she'd be hanging out with, like what her friend group would be, what activities she'd be in. I mean, we know she'd still be dancing all the time, so she probably couldn't do like a ton of different activities. But yeah, it's just a lot of those what ifs. I had back to school night the other night, this past week, and a lot of the parents from, Libby's friends were there, and a bunch of people came up and gave me hugs. And there were people who had tears in their eyes and who were crying, just talking to me, talking about how much their kids miss Libby. And it just, like, it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword. Like, I love hearing that. I love that people miss her and remember her and think about her and how much she meant to people. But then it's also just like, oh, like, man, it is. I had one that was like my very first class on back to school night. A dad came up to me and was like crying and talking about how much his son misses Libby, and his son was a good friend of hers. They used to FaceTime all the time, and I just remember her laughing hysterically with this kid over FaceTime. And then I had to get through the rest of my night like talking to the rest of the parents. It was just like, oh, this is not very fun. Yeah. But I made it through, did what I had to do, and it's rough. I feel like I have taken a step back.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that too. But then it's weird what affects, like I said, like the bracelet. And then you had sent me that picture that you got from a friend of yours, and Libby was what, 4 or 5.
She probably would have been 5 in that one.
So she was like 5, and you sent it to me, or you had said you got it, and you said you were breaking down and everything else, and I asked you to send it to me, and it didn't affect me at all. That picture, I don't know why. That the funny thing about the picture was Libby was, she was a lot younger, and I just focused on her legs and her feet. They were chubby. I thought
that was the thing that made me so sad.
Yeah.
It was because it was her when she was younger. We had talked about that when I sent it to him. It's pictures that I've never seen of her. Those really get me. And this was like a friend from work found this picture. Her son was in the picture, but the picture was mostly just Libby as this 5-year-old girl running across the soccer field. And I was so glad that she sent it to me because, again, I love that stuff. I love getting more pictures of her. I love stuff that I haven't seen, but then because they're new, it brings up all those feelings again. And she just looked like such a little girl. She didn't look like the older 10-year-old Libby. She looked like the little girl Libby with the chubby little legs and feet and the chubby cheeks. And it was so stinking cute. And I just wanted to I think I said this to you. I just want to reach into that photograph and grab her and pick her up and hold her. Yeah. And it's just, it's rough.
Yeah, and I was working on my mom's phone. We doing a carrier switch, and so I was going through her phone. She was concerned about backing up photos and stuff like that. And I was going through her phone, and I found a bunch of photos that she had that I had never really seen.
Really?
So I have a bunch. I immediately texted them all to myself, and but yeah, it's
send those to me, right?
yeah, I can. But it's like
on a day when I'm ready to cry.
Yeah. But you're right, though. It's those new photos, that new stuff, or a new story that you hear, like the people talking to you.
Yeah.
I had somebody reach out to me randomly the other day, a buddy that I play soccer with, that sent me a picture of the accident site and was just like, hey, drove by this and just wanted to know. I was smiling.
Sweet. You're terrible at this.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You're not terrible. People love it when you cry. I'm glad that you can, especially that you're the guy and you're crying and I'm not. It just shows people are different. There's no set way that people react. I can feel things in my gut, but I'm not a huge crier, especially not in public or when I'm doing something like this. It's more like a professional thing for me, whereas you
I don't have any control over it.
No. But you never have, though. You cry at commercials.
Yeah.
But
no, it was just when he said that to me, and it's weird because I'm getting choked up about it now, but I didn't get it choked up at all when he sent it to me. And his whole point was, he sent it to me, and I kind of responded something, thanks, and then he kind of responded oh, I didn't mean to upset you, and I said, you didn't upset me at all. It was because he basically wrote I drove by there and it made me smile to think about Libby and who she was, so that's those types of things. When we hear that, I think are moments that even now, 2.5 years out, it's good to hear that other people are still thinking about her and that she's not forgotten, all of that stuff. So it didn't upset me at all. I mean, I'm obviously getting choked up now thinking back about it, but it was great to kind of see and hear somebody else going, hey, she made me smile today.
Yeah, because that means so much.
Yes.
To know that they're not forgotten, our people aren't forgotten. They're remembered.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's about where we're at. It is this weird, I think it's maybe more so for you because of the school starting, and you're definitely seeing some of these kids, face to face. But for me, it's the imagine, what life should be like. And I had, an instance the other day where it was, this is messed up. Why is she not here?
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair.
No, it is not. So I was thinking about something, and people who are watching, or if you're watching on the replay, if you want to comment because I'm super curious. I joined TikTok a little while ago when I resisted it for a super long time. And then finally everybody was like, oh, you should share on TikTok. So I started doing that. And TikTok is a total rabbit hole. Like you can just go, you can sit there and waste hours just scrolling through all the videos. But one thing that kept coming up that I kept seeing recently was people with ADHD. And I don't have ADHD. Our son does. I think you do. You're probably undiagnosed.
I don't think the H part, but I've got the ADD for sure.
But there's a lot of people who are starting medicine that are like documenting their journey on medicine. And one of the things I kept seeing in these videos were people that have internal monologues where they're just constantly thinking things in their head and like talking to themselves. And then when they go on this medication, it quiets down. And that's the thing that's so kind of like shocking to them. And then they start wondering like, oh my God, is this what everyone else's brain is like? That it's just quiet, that it's not driving you crazy. And it just got me thinking. So I started paying attention, and I've always known, like, I don't have ADHD that I know of, but my brain, I mean, you know that my brain never stops. It never stops. Like I am constantly talking to myself in my brain. There's never a dull moment in there. So as far as internal monologues go, like mine never shuts off. And it's why, especially after the accident, you know, and on this grief journey, I have to listen to ASMR to fall asleep. Like I need people talking because I need to pay attention to something else in my brain because I have a horrible time shutting off my thoughts. And it just kind of struck me. I started paying attention to how often I think about Libby in a day. And I was like, I wonder if there's a way to track it. Could I get like a little clicker, and every time something random reminds me of her or she pops in my head, I just click it. But then I was afraid that would skew it because I know that I'm doing it and like it would make it more, you know, obvious. But I think about her constantly. So like, for example, just driving to work in the morning, like from the time that I get up, I say good morning to her. She's in a picture in my wall. Every day when I get dressed, I'm standing in front of my like little Libby area that I have in my bedroom. And, you know, I look at that and it reminds me of her. Like when I'm on my drive, I pass Hamilton Court, and every time I see Hamilton Court, it's like every freaking day I see Hamilton Court and it's like, oh, Libby, like because of Hamilton. And then a minute later, I cross over the road where she died. So that makes me think of her. And if it's a Wednesday, my brain goes, oh, it's Wednesday. Like she died on a Wednesday on this road. And there are always car carrier trucks that zoom by when I'm crossing by. And I'm like, oh, there's Wednesday, the car carriers. And then, you know, then I go a little further and it's something else. So it's like a constant reminder. In my school hallway, I walk down the hallway and there's a poster that her friend Brayden made from dance, and it's a picture of him. So I pass that every day, and every time I see him, it's a reminder of her. And then there's a poster of Ruby Bridges, and it was like we had a joke in our family about Ruby Bridges because she had a friend named Ruby and she couldn't remember her last name, and she said it was Ruby Bridges, and we all just laughed because we knew it wasn't Ruby Bridges. But every day now in this hallway, I walk down the hallway, I see Ruby Bridges. It's a memory of her. It is just like, if I could tally, because it is constant all day long, just the little things that you see that wouldn't make sense to anyone else, but they're all little reminders of me. Like the bus numbers, I see her bus go like, and I look for the numbers to see if it was her bus number, even though she wouldn't be riding a bus anymore.
Right.
She'd be going with me, but I still seeing the bus and seeing the bus numbers makes me think about her. It's like a never, and I'm wondering if other grieving people, so if you're hearing this and you've had this experience, I'm curious, is it like that for you? I wonder if it's just my brain that I can't shut it off, or if it's normal to think about her that many times in a day.
I don't think I'm hitting that same number that you are, but I also think it's, for you, you're also hitting a lot more triggers on a regular basis,
the environment
especially
that I'm in.
the environment that you're in. For me, it's a lot of radio music. That was one of our things, was listening to music. And I get in my truck every day, and I typically am listening to a book on tape. But when I first get in my truck, the radio pops on.
Yeah.
And so whatever song is on, that's immediately like, oh, would Libby and I like to sing this one? Would we have fun with this, or whatever else, or that kind of thing. And it's weird because I really can't listen to music anymore, but I'm starting to listen to, there's certain songs that are out there that are catchy and in my head. But I don't associate those with Libby because they came out after she passed. But on the flip side, I'm like, we would have fun singing.
You would love it. Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me.
This song, and that's where it's, even though it's not a song that she and I sang together, it's a song that I know we would.
Yes.
And so that's a trigger.
And it has no connection. And for me, It's the same thing with dancing. I connect things like, she would have, even if I have no connection to that song with her, it's she would have liked this song.
Yes.
Or we would have put this on our playlist. Or for me, it's how she would have danced to the song, because she was always making up dances. So when I hear a song, I'm like, I could just picture how she would dance to it. So I can't even enjoy new music really, because it's still is a trigger, honestly.
And it's weird because sometimes, like I said, it's like, that friend reaching out about the accident site, like, when they sent that to me, it didn't upset me at all. It made me smile because it was making him smile. But now, it triggers me. And that's the way songs are, dances are, videos that you see and stuff like that. Like, one of Libby and my thing was, she'd crawl into my bed, in the morning, she'd wake up and come crawl into my bed, and we just sit there and watch clips on YouTube of like, AGT and those different shows, and be like, oh, I like this one, check this one out. That's how we found Birdie, and Nightbird, and it was like, so you never know. And it's like you said, like, I have this by my bed every morning. You look at a picture, but every morning before I leave for work, I give this a kiss and tell her I love her.
It's a podcast, so you might want to tell people what that is.
Well,
for the people who are listening.
This is our memory stone that we had. This is Libby's ashes that we had made into memory stones that we kind of passed out to everybody in the family. And Brooke and I obviously have one. This is the one. Mine's a little blue and might be hard to see, but it's kind of speckled blue. But that's because it's in my pocket most of the time, other than when I don't take it to work because I don't want it to get messed up. But
I have mine by my bed too.
So,
and I carry it around. I just want to read this comment quick. So hi Ruth. She says, Libby made an impression on anyone that was lucky to have her in their life. She made it hard to ever forget her. And it's okay to cry, David. Definitely. Yeah. So yes, it's definitely okay to cry. And thank you, Ruth. I know. Yeah, she truly did. She was something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something positive. Let's do something positive, because this is kind of like a bummer. So there are good things happening. That's how grief is, I guess. That's how it works. You have the ups and the downs, and you kind of ride the waves. And I think emotionally for us, this is kind of a rough time, but we have had some good things happen. So we've talked before that we have Live Like Libby, which is the organization we created in Libby's honor to provide scholarships to dancers. And we just finished up our fall giving season for this coming dance season. And we hit over $38,000 donated to dancers in financial need. So $38,000 worth of scholarships. And that makes me smile, because I know it would make Libby smile. Like, I know, I mean, that makes you feel good. It sucks that we even have to do it, but it's also like, it's something good that's come out of it. And I'm so glad that she's remembered in that way and that we can help other people, because I know she would love that, because she was all about helping other people. And especially with dance, I feel like she'd be proud of us for that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's one of those, we kind of go through that process of, reading through some of the requests and stuff like that. And, so far we've been lucky enough from a financial standpoint to be able to not say no to anybody, and kind of really help out as much as we can. But it also made us realize we need to do, we had an initial fund that we got from various places. So we had a good chunk of change when we kind of first started, and we've done, bingo and stuff like that, but we definitely need to keep raising some funds and get some
replenish the bank account.
new things out there to help us replenish and be able to keep doing it. I think that's what we kind of came to the conclusion of. It feels good. We like doing it in Libby's honor, and she would be proud of us, but we want to make sure we can keep doing it for many years to come. Yeah. So, look for some new stuff for next year besides bingo. We're hoping to finally get a golf outing together to raise some funds, and then
we're talking about
some other things.
Pottery night. My brother and his wife own a pottery studio, so we're thinking about doing some pottery nights for Live Like Libby. So we've got some things in the works, and that's always a positive outlet, I guess, for the grief.
And I think it is, like when we did the bingo, just everybody being able to get together and discuss their Libby stories, and to hear new stuff. I think it's always good, and like you said, from a grief standpoint, it's good to know you're not alone, and that all these people are still thinking about her and still enjoying the memories of what she brought to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah. Anything else? Good. I guess my book process is kind of another good thing I can share. So again, I've talked about this before, I think, but I finished the first book in the series of historical fiction, Libby's Frontier. It's a middle grade historical fiction series that I'm writing, again, in Libby's honor. And to try to make a long story short, which I'm terrible at, I am in the process of querying the first book, which means sending out query letters to literary agents. So if you don't know, you have to get a literary agent before, and then the literary agent pitches the story to the big publishing companies to get the book traditionally published. And typically when people send queries, you send like a bunch out at one time. And unfortunately, because agents get so many book queries in a year, I think I read it's like 2,000 is like the normal amount that literary agents get per year, and they accept a teeny tiny portion of that, like maybe 2, out of like the 2,000. So it's kind of like winning the lottery. And what can happen is, like, you send out the query, and then if the agent is interested in reading the story, then they can request either a partial manuscript to kind of check out your writing, or they can request a full manuscript. And I've been lucky enough to I just started querying less than a month ago, and I already have a few requests for full manuscripts, which is, from what I've heard, pretty rare. So I am crossing my fingers. I am super excited about that. I mean, if it doesn't work out, I will still self-publish it just to get the stories out there, because honestly, I just love writing them. I love the research behind it because it takes place during the American Revolution. I'm a history nerd. Like, I love the research and getting everything historically accurate. I love the writing of it. I've had a lot of people ask me if it's like a trigger for me writing it because Libby is the main character, but it's really not. Like, I just love coming up with the stories, and I love writing the dialogue between the characters. And it makes me, if anything, it makes me smile, because I do throw in little I can sneak in little things about her that like no one else would really know, but it's totally her. Like one thing in the first book I can think of is she hated brushing her hair. Hated it from the time she was tiny little. And she had the most beautiful long hair. It was gorgeous, just thick and like, oh, people would kill for this hair. And I always like, I love French braiding and like doing, you know, I'm a makeup girly. I love doing hair and makeup. And she couldn't even stand it being brushed. She had the most sensitive scalp. And it was always one of those like, oh, like why? Like I really want to get my hands in. And sometimes she'd let me do some things and I'd do some braiding and things like that. And it would be super adorable, but it was super rare. Like
we tried so hard, so many different products to try and like, detangle her hair.
I don't know why it was that it got.
Well, she had thick hair, but it was thin. Like it was like there was a lot of it, but it was a thin hair, so it did tend to get tangled very quickly, especially when she slept and stuff like that.
I had 1 year, it was not long after we got divorced, and I was at my townhouse. I remember she fought me about brushing it for so long, and then she ended up with these 2 knots that were so huge, like they would not come out. And it didn't matter what I did. Like I sat her down the one day and we put all kinds of conditioner in it, and I'm trying to like pick my way through these knots. And we ended up just going to get it cut. Like I had to cut the knots out because we couldn't get them
that a couple times too.
Get them out. And on a normal basis, you know, when she got a little older and she would, you know, do her own hair, she still hated brushing it, but she would just pull it back in a ponytail and let it go because she just hated dealing with it. Anyway, that was a very long explanation of, in the book, I have a scene where she gets out of the bathtub and her mom has to brush her hair, and she's like dreading it because she's going to sit by the fire and she's like complaining about her mom brushing her hair. And I was like, no one else will get this, but this is like my little nod to Libs. And like I said, you can hear me right now. You can probably hear it in my voice if you're listening, and see my face if you're watching. It just makes me smile because it's so her, and I love throwing that little stuff in there. But yeah, it makes me, I just love it. I love writing. I've wanted to do it forever, and I just never did. And I love that I am now. And when we'll see where it goes, I hope it goes somewhere, and maybe I can get them published and get to write the series. And yeah.
Well, you'll write the series. Regardless.
I will write the series anyway. I'm already into the second book.
Made into a movie yet is the question.
I think it would be a good one, though.
It's very good.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's
we'll
one of those, and I think it's good for you too. I think it is as much as it's a distraction in some ways, I think, for you, but it is something that, again, it's another one of those things that she would be super proud of you for finally writing the book that you've wanted to write for years.
Agreed.
And just never did. So, and the fact that it would be about her, she'd love that too.
She would. She would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And there's boys in it, so she was.
Yeah. It's funny because I have a copy of it and I'm reading it, and part of me wants to, you know, I almost reached out to you one night and said, I don't really like this boy. He needs to go.
I bet Charlie, because Charlie gets jealous. I bet you don't like that.
The whole, Charlie gets jealous, and, you know, he's acting. They have a dinner and he's hearing about I forget the Yanali.
So Charlie is like the farmer. He's like the neighbor boy that's like a good, works hard, good kid, you know, farmer, anxious to fight in the revolution, kill some redcoats. But like,
he's gonna break my little girl's heart. That's what he's gonna do. Then he's gonna have a problem with me.
Yeah. So, but he likes Libby, and then the other boy is Yanali, who is from the Oneida Native American tribe. He's an Iroquois, and which is like a totally different culture. But Libby, in the story, Libby's dad and Yanali's dad fought together in the French and Indian War. So she grew up knowing Yanali, and now, and he likes her as well. But it's all very like they don't really say anything, but it's just kind of like that early young crush thing. Right. And she likes Charlie because he's cute and wholesome, and he's been a good friend. But Yanali is like more, I don't know. It's just she likes his
just
culture.
Need to stay home a little bit. Huh? Spend a little too much time at the family farm. So.
It gets really good.
It's weird because it is, it's part of Libby's future that we aren't going to get.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if this affects you a little more, because we were into that. We've got some comments from Ruth and Helen actually who are.
So we can throw Helen's up here. Yeah. Thanks. Helen says, I loved Libby's hair. It was so beautiful, just like her. Thanks. Yes. So, coming from a hairdresser. Yeah, her hair was gorgeous, right? It drove me nuts that she wouldn't let me do anything with it, but her hair was so beautiful. I have that in the book too, her hair, because it's her. So I talk about her hair and how long and pretty it is, even though she doesn't like brushing it. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But we have, it is one of those things, like as I was reading the book, it's like, not that I would be that guy, but it's one of those are some of the things that I'm not going to get to do as a dad, to kind of be there and have a stern talking to the boyfriends
the boys
and whatever else. But she gets more serious with it. But it's it's a good book, and it'll be. I'm excited for the rest of them too, because the other part of it that you didn't highlight was it kind of follows along with Libby's traits that she wanted to be. So each book is one of her traits that she had a little chart of, which is, I think, an awesome tie-in as well.
It is.
So from the perspective of where you're trying to place these books as early, preteen or teen.
Yeah, it's like middle grade like 10
books,
to 14.
They're just good lessons as well about, besides the entertainment value of it, but each one of them does have a focus on a particular trait, which is why there'll be 7 of them.
Hopefully, if I can drag the story out that long.
Well,
we'll see. I don't know if people will read a 7-book series. Ed.
I will.
Knock on wood, I'll get a literary agent, and then they can tell me how many books they want in the series, and I'll figure it out. But I'll tell you what, I have it planned out, and I had no idea this was going to happen, and I feel like I'm rambling about this book too much, but I feel like it went from being the character trait 7 books to now I am just super invested in the characters, and I can't wait to show everybody what happens to them. I've got it all in my mind. I kind of know what I want to happen. And it's fun too, because the boys, so in the book, she's got a mom and a dad, and then she has her 2 older brothers like she did in real life. And I kind of based the brothers on my sons. And I asked them okay, what do you want to happen to your character? So I love that they can give me insights too. In the 2nd book, the revolution is really kind of picking up, and they have to pick sides and figure out what they want to do. And and I just love I love the characters. I will tell you, the thing that is kind of tricky for me is that in order to create a good character that people care about, you have to make them realistic. So the first book is about productivity. That was the character trait that I was going for. And the main character, which is Libby, has to change throughout the book. That's the whole thing. There has to be, the character arc. There has to be growth. So I actually had to make Libby sound worse than she really was in the beginning, because
she is pretty lazy in the beginning.
Yeah, because I have to get her to change to be more productive, to kind of teach the lesson. But in reality, so kind of in the beginning of the book, I'm like, this isn't really Libby, because like in the book, she's not very helpful with her family and she'd rather be off. I mean, Libby would love to be off reading and exploring and whatever, but she would do what she needed to do. And anytime you asked her to do anything, she would do it for you because she was just that kind of kid. But like Libby in the book is a little more like, oh, do I have to? And doesn't like contribute as much so that she can learn productivity and grow. So if anything, she was too good to be a book character. But yeah, I don't know. I can stop rambling about it now, but I love writing it. So I just wanted to throw up here. Hi, Angie. Angie gave us some hearts. And hi, Brooke and David. Happy to see you both. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Jill. Oh, hi, Jill. Jill was Libby's teacher. I definitely picked up on this. Oh, on the making her sound worse than she is. Yeah. As her teacher, I'm sure you know, like you'd tell her to do something and she'd do it, right? And in the book, she's like, I don't want to do it, which is very not her. But yeah, hopefully as it goes along. So I say I might veer away a little bit from the character traits, like try to throw them in where I can, but
it's gonna be. I think it's like I said. I kind of started with it's gonna be interesting to see where you take the character because the unfortunate thing is we don't know what Libby was gonna be like, or we can only project who we thought she would be at 10, who she would be at 18. Yeah. But, so that might get a little more difficult for you as you write some of these and as she grows and gets older and I might have some input on. Oh, no, really? You wouldn't do that. Don't say that. So,
are you going to censor the book? Who would you have her pick at this point?
Huh?
Who would you have her pick?
Or her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her dad is definitely the one she should spend the most time with.
I think you're a little biased about that.
Maybe, but I'm just saying.
I don't want to ruin the end of the book, but
don't.
I won't ruin the end of the book. She does get a kiss, though.
We're gonna have words.
Charlie, it's just on it's just on the cheek, though.
No, that's good.
It's all good. All right. Okay, enough about Libby's Frontier. I'll keep you guys posted with what's happening with that, but hopefully, cross your fingers that the agents that read it will love it as much as I do, and hopefully we can get it out there. Oh, to Angie. So Angie says, you would think she would have made brushing her hair fun. She could do it with her feet. Flexibility. That is true. She probably totally could have held the brush in her toes and bent over backwards and brushed her hair that way.
I would see her laying on her stomach with her feet
behind her head,
brushing it.
She 100% could have done that.
Yeah.
No, it was just it was something about her scalp. Like she could not.
She was very she kind of had a lot of sensitivities actually, and some things like she really did not like loud noises either. That was something that always bothered her, which was always hilarious to me because she loved riding the motorcycle with me, and that was pretty loud. But of course, she was wearing a helmet, so. But yeah.
I won't talk about that because.
What?
The fact that you took our daughter on a motorcycle, they're like death traps. But anyway.
She loved the
I know she did, but
she would every time. It was like
you're lucky we were divorced.
It was a simple like, hey, I have to go to the store to grab like bread. She's like, can we take the motorcycle? I'm like, I guess so. She loved that motorcycle. I was always safe.
It's not it's not you, it's the other people. And now it's a moot point because I mean, as much as I worried about the motorcycle, she died in a car. So yeah. What will be will be.
Yeah.
All right.
Ramble time over.
45 minutes of rambles. Thank you to everyone who joined us, or if you're again listening to the podcast or the replay, we appreciate it. Feel free to leave comments, and I can always try to respond to those later because I see all them, especially if you comment on YouTube. I can see those and get back to you if you have any questions or anything like that. But yeah, just wanted to give you an update on how we are doing, and wasn't going to do this one actually because I tried to schedule like leave a couple weeks at back to school with like not much to do because I knew I was going to be busy and stressed out. But then I just figured since we were going to do the memorial site and fix her up, we'd hop on here, and people always seem to appreciate knowing how you and I are doing personally. And the stuff coming up is all like interviews with other people. So sometimes it's nice to just get back to our experience. Did I get to check out the 1090? No, I did not. I need to do that. I got to write that down so I don't forget.
Notes, people.
No,
She
I
has
know.
to take notes.
I do have to take notes because my brain is like a sieve. My memory is getting old. It's terrible. Anyhow, all right. I think that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I will be back in 2 weeks with an interview. And yeah.
Right now.
That's it. Anything else?
Everybody enjoy the weekend. Or
enjoy the weekend. I will try to take a picture of the memorial site after we decorate it for fall and post that to my social so you guys can see how it looks. And yeah, I will catch you guys in a bit. Have a good day.
See ya.
Sending love and hugs. Mwah.